Welcome back to the next ICG webinar, where we talk about the problems that you guys in UK Estate Agency are suffering from at the moment. At this moment in time, it's reckoned there's over 800 or 900 pieces of PropTech solutions out there. Which ones do you pick? So part of the ICG is to look at what good PropTech looks like. And I'm joined today by 6 or 7 of who I consider are the who's who of UK Estate Agency PropTech. I'm joined by Bob Scarff, who's part of Corwell, Christian Byfield, who's both a letting agent and part of the depository, Andy Soloman from Yondell, Bradley from SMS, Andrew Tyler from Repit, and Steve Rad from Inventory Base. So thanks for joining me today, gentlemen. And so the question is, how do you know what PropTech to choose? So I'd like to go to Andy Soloman first. What do you think good PropTech looks like?
Well, good PropTech isn't necessarily just the shiniest thing that comes in and looks like really swish in front of you. Good PropTech is what makes your business better. Good PropTech is what makes your customer experience better. And importantly, good PropTech joins up with all the other PropTech and digital services that you position in your business. So it's about understanding your workflows, understanding the customer journeys, finding the ways to pinch them together and multiply the value as you go further down the pathway.
Okay, I'd like to go to Andrew Tyler, who's big in the game at Repit. I'm going to make a statement which is quite controversial. Do you think the CRMs have put barriers in the way for PropTech to talk to each other? I'll let you talk globally first. I know Repit have a solution which I will give you a little bit of a promo for, but not too much, my friend.
I think to answer the question a slightly different way, I think that the problem with the industry and tech is that tech becomes the solution for most people in their minds, that they think they can go and buy something shiny off the shelves and then immediately the problems go away. And yet the reality is actually most of it's how you use things that counts, not so much what the thing does. And I think and when I was asked the question, what should you be utilizing within PropTech? It's the training and it's the understanding of the product that you are either going to buy or the one that you already own. I mean, we come across many people who use tech, don't understand it, moan about it, and then are shown things that they didn't know exist. So, I mean, I think if you're in the market for new tech, you need to first of all establish, does what you've got already do what you want it to do? And if it doesn't, then fine, but maybe it does. So engaging with the tech, engaging with training. I mean, if you have
you guys are quite famous for it at Repit, that you spend an awful lot of money training, because wouldn't it be fair to say that an awful lot of bosses at the high level buy the kit and then it comes down to the guys on the front line saying, there you go, Floss, get on with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was head of training for 14 years at Repit, and inevitably we would have the bosses of companies saying to us, we want our staff to get trained. And then the challenge was they would all send the junior staff, but the senior staff wouldn't attend because they either were scared of it or they didn't feel they were part of that process. And so you'd end up with a huge disconnect. The guys at the top not understanding it, not being able to drive it, and the guys at the bottom understanding it quite well. But the training, the problem is that people do not engage with training, and particularly this time where the pressure's on, so companies need to get as much as they can out of the tech they've got, but they tend to think, well, spending time on training, that's a low level priority, we'll worry about that later, because we often get a demand for training at Christmas time or midsummer when everything's on quiet. So everything's died, what should we do now? Well, let's do some training. Now is the time to engage with the toys, to make sure that you know how to use it to get best value out of it, because there might be stuff in there that actually makes your life infinitely better sitting on your desktop.
Okay, I'd like to go to Bradley first from SMS, and then I'd like to go to Steve Rad from Inventory Base. Bradley first.
What Andrew was saying, the key to using PropTech in an intelligent way is to be brutally honest about what the failure points and the crunch points are within your system and how you can increase that streamlining. Your training is essential because your people need to be efficient and fit in well and solve the problems that come along, but your PropTech also needs to fit into those parts of your workflow where you could do with some automated lifting, like using a JCB to dig a trench rather than using a shovel. And that means you need to look carefully at your organization, understand how the workflow works, and then be strategic about it and focus on the things that PropTech is actually strong at, such as customer communication, workflow, automated processes like reminders, getting information out, and leave the stuff that humans are better at, such as personal communication, to the humans. So it lifts up the humans, it doesn't replace them.
Lovely. Thank you, Bradley. Steve?
Yeah, that was a good point, Bradley. And obviously solving a problem is first and foremost the main priority when identifying obviously the right PropTech to use. To follow on from the training angle, what I've learned actually by providing software to the estate agent industry is it's not just about, it'll actually, effective software will reduce the amount of training that staff will need, and therefore there's a lot of cost savings in that. And I've seen it with my customers over the years. The first person we deal with in an organization will be the manager who wants to solve the management problem, for one. But the second thing is, obviously, part of the management problem is training your staff, and software then really can facilitate the guidance of how that staff interact and perform for the business. Example is a manager might come along and say, I have 15 inventory clerks, they've all been doing their job for 15 years and they're going to go out and perform these jobs. But so any one of them will know how to produce an inventory report. What they don't know is, how do I produce an inventory report for this company? How do they want me to do it? So I think that's one of the most effective things that PropTech or any software can provide, is actually reducing the entry training to staff, and so they can just get on with their job, and it facilitates and guides them throughout that process.
Okay, I'd like to go to Christian next and then Bob afterwards.
So I think agents sometimes get a little bit caught up with trying to solve a problem. One of the things that we've always done at Base is we look at, we break every transaction we down into every sort of micro process that makes that up. And then what we look at is, what does a human add to that process? And actually, when you look at a lot of the processes that agents do, a lot of that actually the human adds little to nothing. As Bradley touched on earlier, it's the personality, the knowledge. Yes, you can get data from online, but the knowledge and how that is conveyed through personality, that is really where the human adds value. And whether you're talking about a salesperson, a lettings person, a property manager, whatever. So really, from an agency perspective, what we always look at is removing anything where the human doesn't add value. And then also, what does that mean for the consumer? Trying to deliver a consistent consumer experience, and looking at the frustrations that consumers have in dealing with agents, and why are those there? Because some agents take the viewpoint of, well, you know, people have always had to deal with that issue, so they'll just keep dealing with that issue. But more often than not, you can solve that problem, or at least reduce that problem, or at least make that problem more transparent, so there's less friction in it. So yeah, for me as an agency, that's where you've really got to start. And then the only second thing I would add is, you know, we've got a really nicely maturing PropTech space now. 2-3 years ago, you know, I think we sometimes talk about the number of products out there almost as if it's a problem. It's not a problem. That's the maturing of the space. And what you're now finding is that in most product areas, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 product offerings now. Look at them, pick them apart, make sure you find the product and the service that aligns with you as a brand, what you want to deliver, and find a product that understands agency. You know, you'll see products out there that really have been built from a knowledge base, and as a result, they're very intuitive products that work really well and align with your business. And there are ones that are a little bit look glossy on top, but underneath it doesn't work. And yeah, so those are that's me.
Final 40 seconds with Bob Scarff, please.
Well, only 2 things. I mean, I'm in a unique position because I've been an agent for so many years and now a supplier to the industry for the last 5 or 6. I'd only had 2 things. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. 2 things I'd say. Firstly, this whole thing around, is it solving a problem that really exists, or is it solving a problem that doesn't exist anywhere really, apart from in the mind of the inventor? That's the first thing that an agent should do. But the second thing I'd say, it doesn't matter how big your business is, from a business the size of Countrywide all the way through to a single person branch, if the person that's paying the bills, the thought leader of that agency, however big or small they are, doesn't get the simple process that they're expecting their people to go through, interacting with the customer using technology, you have a problem. Because you'll add things to it, and you're the whizzy, and it's a lovely salesperson, and all the rest of it, and it will get in the way of good customer service, not enhance customer service. So the person at the top needs to understand it.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Wave goodbye to everyone, and I hope that's been really helpful for you guys in Estate Agency Land.